So my name is Marc Weisi. I'm a multifamily investor based in northern New Jersey. Started off around 5 years ago, in 2016 in the residential space. Kind of stumbled into being a landlord or an investor, as you say, by buying a place, living in it, renting out one room, and basically saw the power of being able to have other people pay down your loan. And so over the course of the next couple of years, had bought a couple of condos, a couple of single families, and then I saw, okay, it wasn't scalable. I was spending too much time managing the tenant themselves as well as the property and contractors. I said, how do I take myself out of the equation? And around that time, I had met my current partner, Gonzalo, who we still work together to this day with. And we kind of had the shared vision. We had the aligned vision of getting into multifamily because we saw that, again, we wanted to not create another job for ourselves, but truthfully, get to a point where our passive income could meet and eventually surpass our W-2 income. So today where we're at is we have since done a couple of smaller multifamily deals together. That gave us the confidence to get into kind of the 5+ range. We did 1 5-unit in Philadelphia, not too far from where we were both located. And then from there, we started to learn about the syndication business, which is really powerful because you're no longer just relying on your own money, your own resources. You can team up, you can partner up with other investors who also want to share in the benefits of real estate. And so you're able to all partner up and take down larger deals together. And so we did a couple of co-sponsorships. We helped out a couple of other experienced sponsors do their deals in 2020. And again, that built the confidence to say, okay, we can do this. And today, where we're at is we took down this 32-unit earlier this year. And this is kind of our first true lead general partnership deal. And so this was all new ground for us. I mean, if you had asked us 2 years ago, would we own a 32-unit? I think that would have been beyond what either of us were, thought we were capable of. But that's where we are today. The biggest challenge that we faced leading up to working with Van was basically knowing what we were actually going to do when we attack these projects. You build a solid business plan going into it. You do all of your research on the front end. But when it comes time to take over, a lot of those plans kind of fall by the wayside, or you learn things that, change your plan. As Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. So while we try to partner with other partners that have experience in this space, every project is something different, is something new, and there's something new to be learned there. This was a heavier value add than they were comfortable with. So just managing this size project in terms of the construction, being out of state, having contractors, dealing with a new property manager, just all of the complexity when it comes to dealing with larger assets out of state. That was really the biggest stumbling block up to this point. Yes, we did try other coaching programs leading up to working with Van, and those were great in terms of providing a foundation for how to invest in larger assets. But when it comes down to actually taking one of these down and putting your business plan in place, it's really important to have somebody that's going to be right there with you, day in and day out, working through these problems, because you can learn a ton through a curriculum or through a mastermind or other programs like that. But it's something entirely different to have somebody working with you through these problems on a weekly basis. And that's what we got out of Van. I think I first heard about Van, he was on the Rod Khleif podcast. And that's a podcast that I know and like a lot. And I believe I even borrowed the seminar term from him, another growth mindset guy. But I was super impressed by Van on Rod Khleif's podcast. He brought just a wealth of knowledge, and it seemed like he had a ton of experience on both the investor side as well as the construction side. So it was kind of a unique skill set that I think a lot of investors don't necessarily have. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest fear that we had was that it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be, Van wasn't the real deal, that we would be wasting money. We had big CapEx plans, as I mentioned, for this project. So every dollar really counts. And we were just afraid of, kind of paying this advisory fee and not really getting as much out of it as we had wished. As far as how that fear was laid to rest, I mean, in talking to Van, you get a very quick sense that he's somebody who truly cares about this stuff and actually enjoys this stuff. So we talked to him, we talked to a couple of his references, and within the first couple of meetings, we knew that he was the real deal. Yes, absolutely. So the reason we chose to go with Van over someone else or another program or another advisor was basically his experience. As I mentioned, he has experience that's really, I think, pretty unique in the space, coming from the general contracting, but also having been an investor for, decades himself. I think that's very rare. So we did evaluate other programs, but we went with Van ultimately because we felt his skill set was unique and perfectly matched with our business plan for this project. It is a heavier value add project. So we thought that we needed someone not only to help us manage the business plan and kind of look at things through the investor standpoint, but also kind of manage the day to day on contractors, scopes of work, and doing all this value add. It was really, really important that somebody who we worked with brought both of those sides of the house to the table. Yeah, so three of the benefits that we got from Van, I would say the first and foremost was that he helped us as soon as he came in to organize ourselves better. We have a team of 5 general partners that, 5 people you would say on any project is, you're bound to step on one another's toes. So we weren't really organized the best in terms of who was responsible for what, where accountability lied, and kind of what process we would follow in order to come to decisions. So we were just making things a lot harder on ourselves by kind of leading by consensus and having every single decision, no matter what, how severe or how small that decision was, come to the group and go up for vote. So he said very quickly, you guys need to organize yourselves into these silos and empower one another to take these decisions and take these roles on, so that we can outsource a lot of the smaller stuff, and then on a weekly basis come together, and for some of the bigger decisions we can maybe put that up for discussion as a group. So that was the immediate impact that he made, was helping us organize us and come to more efficient decision making as a group. I would say the second thing was just his having a second set of eyes on our construction plan. So we know we have 2 partners that have a ton of construction background. We have a master plumber who's been in the business for 30, 40 years. We have my partner who's an engineer, civil engineering, does large infrastructure projects. However, it's something entirely different when it comes to time to actually put the pedal to the metal and get some of this stuff done. So having him coming from the background of a GC, and to be able to look over some of the solutions that we were coming up with to fix some of these issues on the asset was invaluable. So he came in, we would brief him on what the issue was that we were facing, a ton of deferred maintenance on this property, and he would look at it, look at the pictures, hear about what we had heard from the contractors, and offer his input. And sometimes he said, this is the way I would go with it, or I would hold off on moving forward on this stuff. And we actually used a ton of that advice in how we wanted to approach these problems. And then the third solution or third benefit that we got from working with Van was that he helped us to understand how we could leverage this deal in finding future deals. So it's not just important, it was not just important what he was able to offer us on this particular deal, but also, okay, how can you advertise yourself to other brokers locally using this deal as kind of the credibility that you're able to leverage and build those relationships locally. So he, while he did offer a ton of insight on this project, he also helped us set up, I guess, the next set of dominoes that we'll kick off in the coming months as we look for our next deal. Yeah, so he was kind of like a big brother on this project. It's kind of somebody that we could always lean on if we had questions, and would offer his advice very freely and candidly. So I would say the biggest intangible benefit was just the confidence that he brought to us. So we're now at a point where we're making decisions, and he's, all ears, and he's kind of signing off on them and been like, okay, you guys can run with this. You guys have got this now. And so he's just built that self-confidence in us to where now we're taking on the decisions and making them ourselves. And he's basically kind of, pulling himself out of it, which is really what you want in any kind of leader, is to, have them work themselves out of a job. So I would say we right now going into our next project will be much more confident about our process, both on the acquisition side as well as the asset management side. I would tell him, get on the phone with Van. I mean, that was really the point, the inflection point for us. I'm sorry. That was the inflection point for us when we got on the phone with Van. We weren't sure if we were going to work forward, move forward with him, if we would hire a consultant outside that we didn't have any experience with. But, spending 30 to 40 minutes on the phone with him, and he was more than willing to give his time to talk about, potential solutions to some of the problems we were facing without us even, forking over a dime. I think that kind of made the decision up for me. So I would say for anybody that's on the fence about working with Van as your consultant, maybe unsure about whether or not it's worth it, hop on the phone with the guy and just hear what he has to say. And you'll learn a ton just from that process alone.